I have been every voice.
You are the chosen one!
This is where the fun begins.
Inside your head.
Hello my dear friends and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. Today we're going to be talking about Cara Dune in The Mandalorian Season 3. We'll also be speaking about The Bad Batch and more. As always guys, before I dive into it, please may I ask you to hit that big red subscribe button if you've not done so already, and also be sure to turn on the notification bell to be alerted each and every time that I post new content. So without much further ado and without any more jibber jabber, let's just dive straight into it. So after the firing of Gina Carano from Lucasfilm, a lot of people are wondering what's going to happen to the character of Cara Dune. Are they just going to ignore her and just not address her whatsoever in the upcoming series, as well as the spin-offs? According to a new rumour, Jon Favreau thought that the best option is to actually address Cara Dune's absence in-universe. It's worth noting that we don't know if this means that they're going to kill her off or just state that she's on a mission somewhere else in the galaxy. But either way, I can't imagine that they're going to dwell on her for too long. They might just say it in a passing statement and then move on with this series. After all, we know that Hera Syndulla is going to be taking her place in Rangers of the New Republic, which is rumoured to have been the show that Gina Carano's character would have been front and centre. You know, regardless of what you think about the real life situation with Gina Carano, I think it does make sense to address where she's been, because in universe it would make no sense to have had her play a prominent role in Season 2 and then in Season 3 she's nowhere. So the least they can do is give the character an appropriate ending. I imagine it's going to be similar to what Rian Johnson did with Admiral Akbar in The Last Jedi, where he just basically said he died off screen. But it might not even need to be that dramatic. They could just state that she's on a mission or she joined the New Republic and just make a genuine gesture or allusion to where she's been. As I've said in the past, I think The Mandalorian Season 3 is going to be very different to the previous two seasons, and it will once again focus on the lone adventures of Djarin now that he has the Darksaber. So with that in mind guys, I don't really have much else to say on the subject. We've talked about it in depth in the past, so let's move on. Let's talk about LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, the long anticipated game that keeps getting delayed. Well, I'm afraid to tell you guys, it's been delayed again. Yesterday, TT Games announced that LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga will not be released in spring as planned. And so here we have the official Twitter post. All of us at TT Games are working hard to make the LEGO Star Wars Skywalker Saga the biggest and best ever LEGO game. But we're going to need more time to do it. We won't be able to make our intended spring release date, but we'll provide updated launch timing as soon as possible. First revealed back in June of 2019, this game will retell the complete Skywalker saga from The Phantom Menace to The Rise of Skywalker, but in LEGO form. It will contain basically every character you can imagine, including Jedi Master Yaddle, and that for me is really exciting. I'm a huge Yaddle fan. Since being announced, it's been delayed once already and now a second time. While it's understandable that video games are very difficult to make, and also with the current pandemic, it's still very saddening for all Star Wars fans, especially those who love LEGO Star Wars and the games. So we're just going to have to wait till that releases. Just a quick note, I want to take this opportunity to ask a question to you guys. How many of you enjoy LEGO Star Wars? I've played it before on the channel and I want to know just how many of you like it, because I'm considering doing that again. So now we're going to talk about The Bad Batch. This is a really good article. Rex's Bad Batch return can explain what happened to Commander Cody after Order 66. As we saw in the trailer the other day, Star Wars The Bad Batch is officially bringing back Captain Rex, and his return could help finally show what happened to Cody after the Jedi Purge. The upcoming Clone Wars spin-off will take place directly after Revenge of the Sith, when clones still make up the majority of the Imperial military. While some clones like Rex and the members of Clone Force 99 did manage to escape Palpatine's control, most didn't. Amongst the thousands of clones forced to participate in Order 66 is Commander Cody, officially designated CC-2224, leader of the 212th Battalion of the Grand Army of the Republic, and close friend of Obi-Wan. Unfortunately, without any way to free himself from its control, Cody fell victim to the inhibitor chip implanted in all clone minds and opened fire on his former general on Utapo after Palpatine gave the order to eradicate all of the Jedi. Various Star Wars media over the years have said that Cody continued to serve in the Imperial military for years after the end of the Clone Wars, but he's never received a proper conclusion to his sad story. The Bad Batch can finally change that. Trailer footage for the series has shown that the members of the Bad Batch who seem to have been unaffected by Order 66 begin the show under Tarkin as agents of the Empire. They quickly leave, likely disillusioned with Palpatine's regime, and go on the run as soldiers for hire. Somewhere along the line they meet up with Rex, who's also hiding from the Empire at this stage. Because the Bad Batch briefly serves under Tarkin and the Imperial military, they'd likely know what happened to other prominent clones such as Cody. And since Rex and Cody were particularly close, having served side by side on numerous campaigns, he'd surely like to know what became of him. Obviously, the tragedy of the Jedi Purge would be heartbreaking for any clone who escaped it, both because of what happened to the Jedi and because of the knowledge that the other clones were forced to comply. Unfortunately guys, there's no version of that story that ends happily for Cody, but he still deserves some proper on-screen closure and the Bad Batch can give that to him. Some fans have theorized that Cody could appear in the upcoming Obi-Wan show and a reference in the Bad Batch could set that up. Whether or not he appears in the new series, Cody deserves a proper conclusion, and the return of Rex in the Bad Batch is certainly the perfect opportunity. I mean, look, we have two distinct shows which are based after Revenge of the Sith. We have the Obi-Wan Kenobi series and the Bad Batch. There's no way they're not going to address what happened to Cody in either of those. I'd personally like to see him in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series and we would see Tamara Morrison reprising the role. That would be really awesome. And as you guys know, there have been plenty of rumours to do with that in recent times. But what do you guys think? Do you want to see Cody again, and in which show do you think he should appear? Alright guys, so finally we're going to look at a Star Wars theory that Vader secretly hated the Empire the whole time. And this of course does play into the struggle that Anakin had in his head, whether he was Vader or just before he turned to the dark side. Alrighty then, so they state just because Anakin turned to the dark side didn't mean he loved the Empire. In fact, there are signs that he may have been subconsciously subverting the Empire during the entirety of the original trilogy. In many ways, Anakin's actions resembled that of a fifth columnist, doing terrible things in order to gain the trust and leverage he needed to aid the rebellion just when they needed it. He may have done so subconsciously or without awareness. The Force moves in mysterious ways, but it's clear that he secretly hated the Empire the whole time, and ironically, his hatred of the Empire actively enhanced his dark side abilities. So let's look at two pieces of convincing evidence. First of all, he destroyed the Imperial hierarchy. Darth Vader was infamous for force choking those beneath him when they angered him. From Konnik in Rogue One to Admiral Moti in A New Hope, although Grand Moff Tarkin kept a tight rein on it and prevented any fatalities. Once Tarkin died though, Vader went wild, force choking both Admiral Ozzel and Captain Needa to death. Destroying all of these senior members of staff shows that Vader had no respect for Imperial hierarchy. Indeed, Vader caused almost as much damage when he chose to not force choke someone as when he did. He famously declined to kill Admiral Piet at the end of The Empire Strikes Back, a man who not only allowed Luke and Leia to escape Cloud City, and subsequently said little, tried nothing, and died at the Battle of Endor aboard the Executor. Another sign that Vader hated the Empire is that he let the rebels escape time and time again. This showed the divided psyche of Vader/Anakin. Beyond the havoc he wreaked in the Imperial war machine, Vader repeatedly made decisions that let key rebel heroes escape. The first time came in A New Hope when he insisted on facing Obi-Wan alone, rather than sounding an alert and locking down the entire Death Star. This trend of Darth Vader disrespecting what the Empire stood for ran throughout the entire original trilogy. And remember guys, all of this stems from feeling betrayed by Palpatine in Revenge of the Sith, after he found out that Palpatine was lying to him about being able to save Padme. Anakin's divided psyche is truly fascinating, and many YouTubers have made content on this issue. And I really do hope that the Obi-Wan Kenobi series does show us more insight into Anakin's mind. In my opinion, it could truly make the show very dark. But what do you guys think? Do you think Vader hated the Empire? What do you think about all of what we talked about in today's update? Let me know in the comments down below. I really hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and also if you're feeling generous, please consider becoming a patron, where for just $2 or $10 a month you get exclusive access to content that's not found here on YouTube. I'm Star Wars Meg, wishing you all a phenomenal rest of the day, no matter where you dwell in the galaxy. Have a good one.